Okay guys, so in this video we're going to answer the question, what is stress? Probably not at work. Okay guys, so what is stress? Stress is one of the biggest killers of our times, yet it is misunderstood and underestimated. Everybody has it and nobody wants it. But how many people really understand what it is and why we have it? Some people think that stress is actually good for you, but this is definitely not the case. In this video I will explain why we have stress and talk about the effect it has on your body. The majority of people suffer some form of stress every single day, and there's lots of different reasons for stress. And here we see life's most stressful events in one chart. Clearly the top one is death of a spouse, and it goes all the way down there, all the other different reasons. Obviously, as on top of all of that, workplace stress is really common, and this chart shows that stress is the number one biggest threat to workplace health. The reasons why people get poorly in the workplace is stress. Okay, now blue light staff are exposed to highly stressful incidents on a regular basis. It's the nature of the job, we all know this. Here we have an American chart which shows that the most stressful jobs, right up the top there is military personnel, followed by firefighter, airline pilot, and then police officer. Down at the bottom there's the least stressful jobs. Blue light staff have to learn to deal with the work-related stress on top of everything else in their home lives as well. And if they are lucky, they can have a full career without letting it get on top of them. But nowadays sickness levels are extremely high due to work-related stress. If this is left unresolved, it can lead to mental issues, physical issues, and being unable to return to work. Here we show how stress can show up in the body, and it affects every single part of the body in all these different ways here. You can pause this video if you want and have a look. I'm sure none of them are going to be a surprise to you. Most important ones for myself are going to be the brain, the heart, the intestines. In the UK, public services have faced extreme pressures from severe budget cuts, which has only made the working environment more stressful. It is now more important than ever that we learn to self-manage our stress, as there is limited support available otherwise. But few people manage their stress effectively. Most people will use alcohol or food to comfort themselves or something else of that nature. But good examples of coping would be exercise, relaxation techniques, or meditation. Here we see some different stress management techniques such as therapy, spa, exercise, having a hobby, meditation, yoga, taking a walk in nature, time management, and music. When professional help is sought, however, medication is often prescribed without much thought as to why the patient needs it. Obviously, I'm not a doctor in any way, shape or form, so I cannot say that you shouldn't take medication. You absolutely 100% need to take your medication if you've been prescribed it. Let there be no doubt about that whatsoever. I will never ever tell you not to take your medication. Don't ever get confused and think that I should. Now all I'm saying is that the medication only masks the symptoms of the stress, and it doesn't cure the root cause, the root issue of the problem. So why do we have stress at all? What is its function? Stress is simply a response to a danger situation, a threat. The body automatically prepares itself for action when there is a perceived threat. This is well known to be the fight, flight or freeze response. Prior to the threat, we were in a state of growth and repair, but a threat immediately sends us into protection mode. It's all about, these are the two different states that your nervous system has. There's the growth state or the protection state. These two states cannot function at the same time. When we go into protection mode, our body prepares itself for battle. That means to run or to fight or to freeze, play dead like a possum. Anything that endangers us naturally takes priority over the repair of our cells, our tissues and our organs. We are biochemically programmed to protect ourselves first and then repair later. And this makes complete sense, doesn't it? The body stress response encompasses more than 1,400 physical and chemical reactions, plus 30 different hormones and neurotransmitters. Even the kidneys and the stomach also pour out hormones too. The two key physiological systems that coordinate the response are: number one, the autonomic nervous system, the ANS, which reacts immediately, and number 2, the hormonal system, whose reactions occur and persist over a longer period of time. So the ANS switches between the growth, the parasympathetic, or the protection, the sympathetic nervous systems, as we touched on earlier. The parasympathetic, or growth, is known as rest and digest, or feed and breed. This is where your body rests and repairs itself, and it all happens unconsciously. When in sympathetic, or protection, the body automatically releases adrenaline, cortisol, and noradrenaline, amongst lots of other different chemicals and hormones, into your body. It takes blood from the organs, such as the stomach, and forces it into the arms and the legs, launching them into action, and it also suppresses the immune system at the same time. Adrenaline raises heart rate, blood pressure, and it increases breathing. Cortisol is released as adrenaline lowers, so the more you activate your adrenal glands, the higher your cortisol levels are going to be. High levels of cortisol increases fat levels, lowers memory and learning, and is linked to bone loss and decreased muscle mass. And continual release of cortisol and noradrenaline sears the body like acid from the inside. Even hours after the threat or stress has subsided, these hormonal levels can remain high. And also, when cortisol is high, you cannot produce DHEA, which stands for, and I think it's pronounced, dehydroepiandrosterone. I'll call it DHEA from now on. DHEA has multiple health promoting and protective functions, and a low DHEA leads to diseases. Under mild pressure, adrenaline and cortisol bursts can lead to temporary increase in performance, followed by a healthy fatigue and rest. But with unrelenting adrenaline and cortisol, our performance goes downhill in every respect, especially our health. So as we know how it affects your health, you can also see how damaging it can be to your career, your happiness, your relations, your emotions, everything. And this all makes clear and perfect sense when there's an immediate danger right there in front of us, such as a tiger or a man with a gun. We go into protection mode until the threat has been resolved, and then we go into growth to repair ourselves from the ongoing hormonal damage. So this is what it should look like: stress to repair and stress to repair. So the stress could be an incident such as a threat, and if you're lucky enough to survive it, then you're going to go into repair mode. Nowadays, stress seems to be the working day, and repair is when you're asleep at night. You've resolved that stress because you've gone to bed at night. It could be stress, the whole week could be the stress, and then repair could be the weekend, or you finally get to spend some quality time and then you relax. And this is totally natural and appropriate, this stress and then repair. That's exactly how we were built to be. Hopefully we manage to get more repair than we get stress in our lives, so we tip the balance into positive, into health. Okay? The trouble is that we constantly keep ourselves in a state of stress for months on end when there is no real threat apparent in front of us. We live at a time when there is no shortage of things to stress about. The biggest problem is that we stress about things that we can't control, such as constantly reliving past traumas or projecting our future worries. These are two huge issues most people suffer with that prevents them from getting out of stress and into repair. It is easier said than done for most people, but it makes no sense to stress about a threat that isn't even real. And by real, I mean right here, right now in front of you. Here's a quote from Mark Twain that says, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." And how true that is. Most people worry about things that never ever come true. How futile that is. But this is all something that we've become experts at, and we pay the price for it in many ways, not least of which is our health, as we never get out of stress and into rest mode. It's more like this is what you could say the majority of people in what we call the Western world probably experience. Stress, and then a bit of repair. The body never gets to repair itself adequately. This is more like stress at work, and then a holiday is your repair. Instead of stress through the day, repair at night, stress through the day, repair at night. It's more like constant stress levels, and some people They can't switch off when they go to bed at night. They can't switch off when they get a holiday. Some people may never get out of stress, so that the body never repairs itself. You should now easily be able to see how being in a state of stress leads to physical as well as mental issues. So stress is definitely not good for you. In addition, we do not slow down our demands on the body. We accumulate stress day by day, week by week, year by year. And for most people, it is the daily accumulation of stress that does the most damage. The little stresses tend to add up cumulatively to far more than the occasional traumatic incident does. In addition, we adapt to the ongoing daily stress in multiple ways with quick fixes such as alcohol, coffee, sugar, going to a party on the weekend, etc., without realising how serious it is or that we do actually need support. This is in contrast to the major traumas that people can suffer, especially in our line of work, and it is not a surprise when they get the need and support afterwards. But people who are accumulating smaller stresses, they don't get the support. As stress builds up over time, we get closer and closer to a crisis point where we can literally snap and become seriously ill. It's that breaking point. Only then do we look for quick fixes to a problem that has accumulated over several months or years. This is like trying to close the gate after the horse has bolted. So what we need to do is to learn how to recognise stress and prevent it from accumulating, and then get adequate rest as well. To learn how to recognise stress, let's look closer at what happens when we very first encounter that threat. Okay, so we have a bit of a science alert here. Try not to get too technical. I'm no scientist, I'm no doctor, this is literally just some things I've read, so if I do get something wrong, forgive me. When a threat is perceived, the brain automatically processes the signals in the HPA axis. And the HPA axis is the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. This is the brain's pathway for hormonal control, and it regulates the body's temperature, the digestion, the mood, your sexuality, energy expenditure, and the immune system. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty important. When the hypothalamus perceives a threat, it sends a signal to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is the master gland that organises over 50 trillion cells in your body. It also sends a signal to the adrenal gland to initiate the flight or fight response, as we discussed earlier. But wait, let's look at the HPA science alert slide again. So here we have it again. When a threat is perceived, the brain automatically processes the signals in the HPA axis. Perception is everything. That key word there, perceived, go back up. Perceived, that is the key to everything. No two people have the same perception. As we can see here by this graphic, this is true and this is true and this is the truth. Everybody's right. The police is so black and white at times, you know, right and wrong, black and white, but often the truth is somewhere in the middle, and we forget that in the police. We don't even perceive colours exactly the same. This dress was a prime example of that. Every time I look at it I see black and blue, but I have seen it where it did look white and gold. Once I think it looked white and gold to me, but that is a black and blue dress to me. To you it might be white and gold, or it might be black and blue. We literally experience all of life differently to the next person. No two people experience the same thing. Here we have a bunch of pictures here that I absolutely love. I love stuff like this. Okay, every single picture is all about perception. What do you see first? Okay, we've got like the aqueduct and the boats, the jazz singer in the face, the cat's face and the mouse. We've got like an Eskimo and a Native American Indian. These two lines here show, let's have a look, these two lines here show they're actually the same size, them lines. Similarly with these circles here, these two circles are exactly the same size, but it shows how it looks different to us. As you can see here, and again, you've probably seen this one before, this one's used over and over again. Okay, so look at the differences we have when experiencing the same thing, such as watching sports events. Isn't it easy to see now how even fans of the same team can disagree upon what happened during that game? Any officer who has taken a statement from several witnesses of the same event knows that people perceive that event differently. That's no surprise to you. The same applies to all walks of life, especially in the workplace. And this explains how some people can cope with extreme stress for years, and it genuinely never affects them at all, while others can become depressed with no apparent stress at all in their life, no threat in front of them. They could work in an office for years and years and years and be clinically depressed, no threat to them whatsoever, because they've become stressed. They've lived in a state of stress for whatever reason it is. So the key to reducing stress is to recognise your stress triggers and then perceive them differently, and we're going to have more on perception in the next video. If you can learn to get a feeling for when you are starting to get stressed, when there is no immediate threat in front of you, you can begin to change your perception of it. And remember, there's absolutely no shame in experiencing stress, particularly in a blue light job. No shame whatsoever. We need to be talking about this more and more. So don't feel like it is something you need to hide or cope with otherwise. In your line of work, it is unrealistic to think that you can eliminate stress completely. There will be times when you need to go into protection mode for yourself and for others. And I think the key is to recognise it when it happens and to process it effectively to allow you to move quickly into the rest mode. You know, you want to limit the stress, move into the rest mode. What we don't want is for you to constantly dwell on past experiences or worry about future ones that might not even happen anyway. We also don't want you to accumulate lots of smaller stresses into a big one that breaks you, the straw that breaks the camel's back. In other videos I will show you some truly amazing coping mechanisms which you're absolutely going to love, so make sure you watch them. You can apply these coping mechanisms at the point of stress or regularly throughout the day. And in doing so routinely, you will be able to maintain the stress to rest balance and even move it into positive, into health, into success, instead of what I think most of us have been doing lately: stress, 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 and if you're lucky, getting a bit of rest at the end. I hope you can now understand that stress is an important part of life, and that in your line of work it is nothing to be ashamed of at all whatsoever. Blue Light Strong encourages you to talk about stress with your colleagues. We have to look out for each other now more than ever before. Speaking to someone, if you think they are struggling, could literally change their lives. And if you think they could get some benefit from this video or anything else on the site, please tell them. I bet you have your own blue light story too, most of us do, so why not share it with us using hashtag #BlueLightStrong. As you can see, we're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter under Blue Light Strong. So use that hashtag and I'll find it. And if you can support us financially, all donations are put back into the programme for things such as advertising, further training and support. Any amount you can spare whatsoever is appreciated. In the next video we will learn more about perception and the key factor we haven't talked about yet. This is the master key to effectively changing your perceptions and eliminating stress from your life altogether. So watch the perceptions video next, guys, and I'll see you there. Thanks a lot. Bye.